All right, so now let's add a variable for a person's name. So I want you to think about variables as just temporary storage places. So I'm just going to type in string name here and put a semicolon there. And what this does is when we have this in there, it's just letting our compiler know that we are going to be looking for a variable. We're looking for some information that's in the form of a string of letters. All right. So let's go ahead and in front of the line 15 here, I'm just going to click in front of that cout and hit Control D. And I'm going to change this to what is your name? And then what I'm going to do is here, I'm going to put two more greater than sign, and I'm just going to write end L. Or I'm sorry, less than rather. And then I'm going to press enter, and I'm going to use the CN operator or console input operator, and we have the arrows going in the opposite direction. And all I'm going to do is type name here and put a semicolon there. So what's going to happen is it's going to say, what is your name? And then it's going to end the line. And then once we enter our name and press enter, we want to let the person know or give it some sort of affordance that we are outputting the name of our person. So what I'm going to do is just type name here, and then again, two arrows. And then what I'd like to do is just sort of maybe space this out and then just put a comma here and make this a lowercase letter. So what I'm going to do is hold Control and hit F5. And what that does is that runs my program. And so when I type in a name and I press enter, you can see EXO, hello. What is your name? I wrote XOXO. It said EXO, hello to your first program. Now the space in there didn't necessarily register. And there's a reason behind that, and that's because I don't have any spacing or special character keys. And we'll get into that later. Now, say we're creating a game and we want to have multiple players. Well, notice we have this variable string name. Now, say this is only a two-player game. What I can do is create something called an array. So, and let's get into the pretty good habit of commenting our code. So we can say this array is used for storing our players' names. And an array is essentially a type of variable, but it allows you to store multiple things of the same type. So you'll notice I get an error here, and it says the array is used for storing our players' names, right? So it's giving us gives us the comment beforehand to let us know what it's used for. But it says incomplete type is not allowed. Well, the reason for that is because we haven't added the number of elements we want to store. So you can see that disappeared when I hit 2. Now the other problem here is you see we get another error down here where it says name. So let's say we want to see into the first slot whatever the first player name is. So what is your name? We could just type player 1. And then what I can do with this is just highlight both of these and hit Control D. Notice that my blinking cursor is on the next line. And so what it did is it inputted it and then also added that space. And then what I can do is what is the name of player 2? And I can put this in slot 1. So you might be wondering, well, why is this 0 and 1 and not 1 and 2? And the reason for that is when you have an array, these are storing it in 2 blocks of memory. And an array, accessing the first element of an array, which is name 0, it starts at index 0, right? So let's go ahead and print this out. So we have cout name. Now this is probably going to give us an error because we don't have that first element. But if I do a 0 here, hello player, let's do player 1. And let's actually put this behind here. It's kind of weird that it's up front like this. Let's cut this. So I just hit Control X for that. And then we'll put this in the middle. So hello. And then we'll put a space there, cap that off. Hello. And then we'll put another one here. We want to do name 0 here. So this is going to give us our player 1's name. And then what we can do is end that line. So we go to the next line. And what I'm going to do is just press enter here. And it's going to continue. It'll work this way as long as we have the semicolon there and the line runs continuously. So we're going to print out hello, and then whatever our first player's name is, it's going to end that line. And then what we'll do is we'll put hello, blah, blah, and let's wrap these. I'm going to put a space there so that we get that in our output, and then name 1. I'll just press enter on this. So what we're going to get is hello, whoever our first player's name is, it'll end that line, and name 1 here. Let's put an end line here too, just kind of clean this up a lot. And we'll do welcome to the game. All right, let's go ahead and put a comma here. I'm going to go ahead and run that. And you can see we have what is your name, player 1, and I'll write Exo. Wexo, let's do that. And what is the name of your player 2? I have hello Wexo. So you probably noticed, well, what was the problem there? Well, we have C in name 1 and C in name 2. But let's go ahead and run that again so we can see that. I'm going to hit Control and F5 this time. So what is the player 1? So I hit Exo here and I press enter. What it did is it read that space as the second player's name. So if I write Ron here and I hit enter, you can see hello Exo and Ron, welcome to the game. And that's the interesting thing about that space is it registers it as the other block. So let's see that one more time because we're going to have to fix that. Let's see, so Control F5. Let's get in here, Control F5. It says, what is your name, player 1? Now notice this, if I do Exo space Ron and I press enter, it automatically read that as Exo and Ron. So there are special cases where we need to look into, well, how do we read spaces, right? And we're going to take a look at that in future videos. But for this one, just understand that an array is a series of variables. And inside of the array, and there's many different ways, we're going to look at arrays in great detail on how to search and sort arrays. But if we write a 2 here, it lets us know that we need 2 elements in our array, and the index of the first element, that's array element 1, is 0. That's how we access it. And the next element, which is the second element, is accessed at element 1. So that's it for this one. And what we'll do in the next video is we'll take a look at building on this knowledge and how we can fix that error